Hello, I want to thank you for clicking on my channel. I'm PI187, and today I'm going to be reacting to Wonders of France. Most amazing places and villages in France. This is going to be a long video. It's an hour and 5 minutes, it says, so I'm going to try to do as least amount as talking as I can possibly handle, which if you've watched one of my videos before, you're going to know isn't very easy for me. So I will try my best to make it short so that it's not like ridiculously long. And let's get my headset on and let's get this started. Guess I should have powered these up first. Anyhow, let's do this.
France. Land of medieval castles.
That's awesome.
Land of fairy tale villages. Land of art and cuisine.
And beautiful beaches. Oh wow, that looks nice. The hell are those?
The fragrance of freshly baked baguettes spreads through the streets. Atlantic waves caress wild coastlines.
Wow.
Burgundy vineyards fade into the horizon. Welcome to France. Welcome to the heart of Europe. Known as l'Hexagone for its characteristic geometric hexagonal shape, this is a land where medieval castles watch over lush valleys, where villages dot the territory, and where the most refined culinary art has found its chosen homeland. But let's start from the beginning. France extends as the third largest country in Europe, with its 210,000 square miles, or 544,000 square kilometers, which embrace an extraordinary variety of landscapes. Here indeed, nature has painted with every color. The intense blue of the Mediterranean, the emerald green of Normandy, the pristine white of the Alps.
Yeah, you got everything.
Over 65,350,000 inhabitants live in a territory blessed by 3,400 miles, or 5,500 kilometers of coastlines, lapped by 3 different seas. The Atlantic Ocean beats the western shores. The English Channel separates France from England to the north, and the Mediterranean Sea caresses the southern coast with its salty breeze. But this European giant also hides a surprising record, being the nation with the most time zones in the world.
Really?
Thanks to its overseas territories scattered in every corner of the planet, such as French Guiana or French Polynesia, France has no fewer than 12 different time zones, more than any other nation on Earth.
See, when I think of France, I never think palm trees. I'm actually kind of shocked that they're there. I've been to Florida once, and they had palm trees, and I thought pretty much, I never really realized France was so tropical. But yeah, look at that. Wow.
Crossing its regions furthermore, the landscape reveals itself as varied, with over 40,000
And if you watched any of my videos before, you know I'm obsessed with castles. So I'm hoping, obviously, we're gonna probably see a lot of castles in here. I've heard there's a lot in France. I've seen a lot in the UK. I've seen a lot in Germany. I've only watched, I think, 2 small videos of France, so this one's gonna give me a way better picture of what's all there. Like, that's a pretty sweet looking castle, and it's pretty neat how they got these catapult type things, where they're called. They're sitting out at the side here. But like I said, I'll try to do least talking. All right, let's go.
Castles and ruins that dot the territory, tangible testimonies of the grandeur of its feudal and royal past. These monuments narrate centuries of conquests, of courtly splendors, and of revolutions that have shaped all of Europe.
Now that's pretty cool. Sorry I'm stopping it again, but I just noticed this drawbridge, and that is awesome. That last castle they just showed a minute ago was pretty cool too. The foundation of it. It must be pretty crazy to sit there and you're just driving, you know, on to work or whatever, and you're just passing castles. And I'm sure if you're born in France, same as the UK and Germany, it's just an everyday thing. You just get so used to it. It's like, who cares? But to someone like here in Canada, where we don't have any castles, it just blows my mind that they're just everywhere there. And like, the land is so picture perfect.
In the hills of Burgundy and in the gentle valleys of Bordeaux, French soil reveals one of its most precious treasures. And we're talking about vineyards, which have made these regions true worldwide institutions for the production of excellent wines. But this land doesn't nourish only with its wines. Every day, from its boulangerie, which would be the bakeries, about 27 million baguettes emerge.
Oh, wow.
For a total of 10 billion per year.
That is insane.
Each of these is a work of art in bread making and must respect rigorous standards for ingredients and dimensions, continuing a tradition that is the very essence of French identity.
That's a lot of bread.
French excellence, furthermore, manifests itself also on the roads. Since 1903, indeed, the Tour de France celebrates human endurance
I've heard of that.
through the most spectacular landscapes of the country. This cycling race, which is among the most prestigious in the world, transforms the landscape every July, with athletes from every part of the world who challenge each other. Continuing, France boasts 2 important excellences at the worldwide level. And we're talking about transportation and gastronomy. Indeed, in the 1980s, this nation revolutionized the very concept of travel with the introduction of the TGV, which is the high-speed train, and which connects the main cities speeding at about 200 miles per hour or 320 kilometers per hour. From a gastronomic perspective, it is the birthplace of the Michelin Guide, which is the most prestigious culinary evaluation system.
Sorry about that.
The birthplace of the Michelin Guide.
If you could let me know what that is, and is that what that is, a Michelin Guide, or I don't know. That looks like a dessert to me. It looks tasty. I'm not even sure what it's made of. It looks like maybe apple. Kind of like an apple crisp with a little ball of ice cream on top. I'm just guessing. Pretty fancy plate made up there for it. But yeah, that looks good.
which is the most prestigious culinary evaluation system in the world. And this is reflected in its extraordinary tradition of haute cuisine, with an exceptional concentration of starred restaurants and internationally renowned chefs. But now, let's go to discover the most iconic places and the hidden villages of this nation.
Cactuses too, wow.
French Riviera. From Saint-Tropez to Menton extends a coast that has conquered worldwide fame for its combination of natural beauty and luxury. The cobalt blue sea laps golden beaches, while elegant cities succeed one another along this stretch of Mediterranean. Monaco attracts with its sumptuous casino, while the city streets transform once a year into the Formula One Grand Prix track, creating one of the most exclusive sporting events in the world. Cannes, instead, pulses to the rhythm of its famous film festival. International stars walk the red carpet, while luxury boutiques in the surrounding streets offer creations from the most renowned designers. Nice finally shows another face of the Riviera with its lively waterfront, where locals and tourists mingle. There is also the flower market, which adds color and fragrances to this city. High cuisine restaurants complete the experience along the entire coast, proposing dishes that unite Mediterranean tradition and culinary innovation, testifying to the essence of a lifestyle that has made this region a symbol of elegance.
Wow, look at those buildings.
Paris. Strolling through Paris is like leafing through the pages of a history book. Every neighborhood tells something unique. The Seine flows through the heart of the city, dividing it between Rive Gauche and Rive Droite, which would be right bank and left bank.
That is a huge city.
The first is the bohemian side, with cafes frequented by artists and intellectuals. The other hosts famous museums and grand boulevards. But it's not only history that defines this city. Indeed, historic buildings coexist with modern squares, markets, and urban gardens with a relaxed atmosphere. From the elegant shop windows on the Champs-Élysées to the narrow and welcoming streets of the Marais, every corner hides something worth discovering. You can also enjoy a sunset on the steps of Montmartre, or stroll along the Seine with the lights of the Eiffel Tower reflected on the water. Alsace. Situated at the border with Germany, Alsace has a soul divided between two cultures. Its villages seem to have emerged from other times, with pastel-colored houses that have exposed beams, canals that cross the historic
those are pretty
centers,
neat.
and flowers that adorn balconies and windows. Colmar is a perfect example, with its medieval quarters still intact, which during the Christmas period become part of a true fairy tale.
Buildings are very colorful.
But this is also land of precious wines with...
And a lot nicer than we have a lot of buildings here with siding. The plastic vinyl siding is just god ugly. It became a thing in like the late 80s and 90s. Everybody was covering their home with vinyl siding due to the weather, and it would make your house look nicer because, you know, it was a thing for a while. They're actually not doing it much anymore. You might see it on some parts of new homes, but a lot of homes have fake brick on them and whatnot now. And the vinyl siding was colorful. Like, it would be different colors: blue, yellow, gray, white. Nothing like this though. Like, there's a lot more colors going on over here. And now, like I said, a lot of homes that are being put up are mainly brick veneer anyway. Might have a little portion with siding on it or something, but my house itself is brick. It's like real brick. It's old, 150-year-old home, and it's painted white, the brick. It actually needs a new paint job sometime soon. I'm thinking maybe going stone gray, because I looked up like painted brick homes, and the stone gray with the black accents look really nice. Now, I'm sure this place was probably painted white originally. It gets really hot in here in the summer, so it was probably meant to reflect the sun, so it would stop some of the heat. I don't know. Maybe it was just that was the time, and everybody's painting brick white. I'm just guessing here. It was painted white for that reason, which doesn't really help in the winter for heat, because yeah, this house, it's actually not too bad in here. Just got a new furnace, but it is pretty drafty because it's an old home. It's got old windows, wood windows. The doors are old, so it does let some air in and it lets some heat out, but it's home, you know. It is what it is. And it's got character, which I like. It's not a new built home. I've got pillars, hardwood floors through the whole place. It's not too bad. It's just pretty drafty and dated. But anyhow, let's get on with this. You guys got a lot of vineyards.
Orderly rows that cross hills and gentle slopes. The famous wine route connects villages like Riviera and Eguisheim, fundamental stops to discover historic cellars and taste local specialties.
Yeah, I mentioned in a video before, I'm not sure if it was the ones that do with that I watched of France or whatever, and person called me a liar, but whatever. I have an island close to where I live here in Ontario that they have vineyards all over the island. And they also got a great big beach over there. Like one of Canada's probably nicest beaches, to be honest. Which is only like 40-minute drive from my house. I haven't been there in forever. I used to go there a lot when I was a kid. But anyhow, there's a lot of vineyards over there, and they do these tours where you go to and they have limos where you and your friends or whatever get in the back of the limo, and some guy drives you around from vineyard to vineyard to vineyard. And I mentioned that before. I'm thinking it actually might have been a Germany video. And the person's like, "Oh, you don't drive from, you walk." Well, you ain't walking from, like, you could, but it'd take you all day to get from one vineyard to the next vineyard. Canada's not that small, so The island's not that small either, and I wouldn't want to walk it. I'm not saying you couldn't walk from one vineyard to another. It just might take you all day. So if you're planning on going and seeing 10 of them, you probably want to take the limo trip. And obviously, like, you're not driving because you don't want to have you intoxicated. But so these people, that's what they do. They run these limo tours where they drive you from vineyard to vineyard to vineyard, taste testing the different wines. And yeah, someone basically called me a liar and says you don't drive limos through vineyards. Well, I never said you drove the limo through the vineyard. You drove it from one to another. Like, there's roads attached to these vineyards, and that's how the limo would travel. But whatever. And yeah, basically, yeah, they're like, oh, you just hike it. And like, yeah, you can hike once you get there and get out of the limo, and you can hike through the vineyard. But then when you go to the next one, obviously you're taking the limo. But yeah, it's kind of neat. Obviously, nothing compared to what's going on over here for vineyards. Like, but there's still, like, when you go over the island, you see them everywhere. That looks amazing. That castle there.
There are also various storks that nest on church roofs or in house chimneys, adding poetry to a landscape that changes with the seasons, but remains always welcoming and genuine.
That one's got eggs. And a little bit of garbage in there by the looks of it too, to keep the eggs warm. We got some big birds around here called osprey, and they make nests like that size. These birds are just insane big, and a lot of places for the birds, they'll put a post up with a pallet or a skid, whatever you want to call it, the fork truck goes into, and they attach it to the top of the pole, and the osprey will make a giant nest on top of it. And there isn't a lot of them, ospreys. Like, there's one in my town that I know of on the main highway where they got a pole up there, and there's a bird up there, and I'm talking, like, they're insanely big. Like, their wings probably span the same as my arms. Like, that's a big bird. And those birds look pretty big.
Loire Valley. A journey through the Loire Valley reveals a world of castles that emerge from the morning mist. The towers rise beyond the treetops,
Look at that.
while Renaissance gardens extend to the horizon. The Loire River flows between these fortresses, which have witnessed battles and love stories and have shaped France.
I couldn't imagine just being able to see this every day looking out your window. That's just...
Medieval villages hide among the vineyards, and their paved streets lead to squares where time seems to have stopped.
Yeah, look at that.
Local markets transform these spaces into theaters of daily life, with the fragrance of freshly baked bread mixing with local traditions.
Whoa.
Chambord Castle dominates the landscape with its 426 rooms,
I guess
defying
it does
architectural
dominate.
logic.
Look at the size of that thing.
Chenonceau reflects in the waters of the Cher River, while Amboise guards the
I've seen
secrets
that
of
one
Leonardo
before.
da Vinci, whose spirit still hovers in the corridors. Villandry instead reveals gardens that are true works of art and present intricate geometric designs.
Oh, that is awesome.
Corsica. island that guards mountains in the heart of the Mediterranean. Here, white beaches soon give way to green forests in deep valleys. Wild nature dominates the landscape, interrupted only by small villages perched on the hills.
That'd be a neat
The
place
city
to
of
live.
Bonifacio faces directly onto the sea, built on steep white cliffs.
Wow. Oh, yeah, right on the edges. Hanging over by looks of it in some spots a little bit.
Not far away, ancient paths cross forests of pines and chestnuts. The GR20, one of the most challenging hiking routes in Europe, connects north and south of the island through
Look at
rocky
those
mountains.
boulders.
The island remains authentic anyway, proud of its traditions and jealous of its own identity, offering a perfect balance between adventure and Mediterranean quiet.
Yeah, I've
Mont
seen this
Saint-Michel.
before. That place is amazing.
The sea surrounds this rocky islet, tightening and widening to the rhythm of the tides. Mont Saint-Michel rises on the northern coast of France in Normandy. At the center, there is a medieval abbey that dominates the entire bay, surrounded by ancient walls and paved alleys. In the heart of the village, small shops and restaurants follow one another along medieval streets. This place has been for centuries a pilgrimage destination, an impregnable fortress, resisting wars and sieges. Still today, crossing the bay during low tide is a special experience. By day, it almost seems like walking on water, while at night, when the abbey lights turn on, everything reflects on the surrounding wet sands, creating an almost surreal atmosphere.
That is crazy.
Provence. Imagine strolling through infinite fields of lavender that color the landscape
Oh, is that what
purple.
that is? Lavender.
This is the magic of Provence, where every corner seems painted by an artist.
Oh, I can tell that's lavender. That's insane.
Here, hidden among the flowers, stands the ancient Abbey of Senanca, where even today monks maintain alive the traditions of 8 centuries ago. Climbing up the hills, there is also Les Baux de Provence, a village perched on rock that seems to have emerged from a medieval fairy tale. Its old castle will surely bring to mind stories of knights. In this area of France, one cannot fail to visit Roussillon, a unique town where everything is colored red. Houses, streets, and rocks are tinged with different shades thanks to ochre, a mineral that has made this place truly special.
That dog was just running
With
loose
different-
there. Yeah, we don't. Is that okay? Are you allowed to do that there? Let your dog just run free, or is that dog just happen to have gotten loose? Because here, you get in big trouble for that. Your dog has to be on a leash at all times. Now, when I was a kid, that was a thing, We used to have dogs running around our neighborhood. Even when we were in public school, there was this dog named Rambo. They used to come over and we'd open the door and let the dog into the school. This is like grade 3 and 4, so we were immature and stupid. Um, and yeah, the dog would just run through the school. It was hard. He was harmless. Looked a lot like that. He was a big German Shepherd. Um, but yeah, nowadays you never see anybody's dog off a leash. They're you can get in big trouble for that because of people obviously getting hurt by dogs. And you got to worry about dogs running out in traffic too. Now there's so much cars here and stuff going around. Actually, probably 3 days ago, a dog, I believe it jumped out of the window of their vehicle. A bunch of people had stopped on the road and they were running around trying to get it. It was like a big poodle. Um, and some bystander scooped him up and carried him back to the people. And at first I thought it was his dog, but then he carried it over to this car that was parked on the road and gave it to them. And they put it inside the vehicle. And then the vehicle went around the corner and parked. They were probably freaking out about the dog because like there was a lot of traffic. But pretty much traffic comes to a halt when you see a dog come running out into it because like nobody wants to hurt a dog. Um, but it was pretty nice of that person to like they stopped their vehicle and caught the dog for the person that it belonged to. But other than that, I haven't seen a loose dog around in a long time. You're just not allowed to do that and let your dogs just run free.
Shades thanks to ochre, a mineral that has made this place truly special. Not far away, the village of Gorges climbs the hill with little streets that wind in spirals, just as they were created hundreds of years ago. The best time to visit these places? July, when lavender is in bloom and the wind carries with it the fragrances of Provençal summer, giving to every glimpse the perfect light.
Look at the size of that field. Yeah, I bet it does smell nice.
Bordeaux. It is a city that lives around wine, with a history of commerce dating back to Roman times. The streets of the historic center, UNESCO heritage, show classical elegance with 18th century buildings and animated squares. The Cathedral of Saint-André dominates the city, soaring with its Gothic towers and crowning an atmosphere of elegance that permeates the entire historic core. The Garonne River divides the city, crossed by historic bridges like the Pont de Pierre. In the evening, along the river, the city comes alive with lights that reflect on the water, creating the ideal atmosphere for a walk or an outdoor dinner. Normandy. Normandy is a mosaic of fertile countryside, windy coasts and villages rich in history.
So I'm guessing these coasts here, these cliffs, they're probably made of chalk like they are over in the UK, I would imagine. Basically the other side of the water. They look like they are anyways. I never knew they were made of chalk until I watched the video of the UK and they mentioned that they were made of chalk, and I'm just like, what? Kind of blew me away. But yeah, those are insane. What is up with this tower just sitting here all by itself? It's like a hotel or something.
The D-Day beaches bear witness to decisive events of
Oh,
World
wow.
War II, with museums and memorials dedicated to their memory.
That's honestly crazy that they're still sitting there.
The D-Day beaches bear witness.
That was a horrible time. Not that I would know, I wasn't around, but I watched enough videos on history to know it wasn't fun. I never hope to see it again in my lifetime.
Witness to decisive events of World War II, with museums and memorials dedicated to their memory. In the cliffs of Etretat, instead, spectacular natural arches, shaped by the wind, dominate the landscape.
Is there a lot of golf courses there? Because I'm guessing this is a golf course right here on top of here by the looks of that grass. And I've seen a couple other ones when it was the beginning of the video, but it might have been showing this one too. I don't know. But it does seem like there's a lot of golf courses there. I can see why. You've got amazingly green grass and beautiful land. Just be amazing some of these places to play. So yeah, that's definitely a golf course. Wow. That's just unreal.
Small ports like Honfleur maintain intact the maritime atmosphere of the past. In the interior, instead, farms and orchards give life both to cheeses like Camembert and to local cider, which are two authentic symbols of Norman gastronomy. Lyon. Situated at the confluence of two rivers, which are the Rhône and Saône, Lyon is a city that lives between past and present. The historic center, called Vieux Lyon, preserves Renaissance alleys and secret courtyards, hidden behind heavy wooden doors.
Oh, wow.
Its squares and historic churches tell centuries of history, making it surely one of the most fascinating neighborhoods. The city is known as the gastronomic capital of France, with markets and restaurants that celebrate its local flavors. The Basilica of Notre-Dame de Fourvière dominates the city from above, offering a complete panorama of the historic center and the rivers below. More modern is the Confluence District, which hosts futuristic architectures, museums, and cultural spaces. Strasbourg. It rises on the banks of the Ile River, where France and Germany have met and influenced each other for centuries. The heart of the city, called La Grande Ile, is surrounded by canals that flow slowly, crossed by small bridges in stone and wood. The Gothic cathedral dominates the city and is visible from every point of the historic center. In the winter months, the famous Christmas market fills the streets with lights and decorations, attracting visitors from all over Europe. Neighborhoods like Petite France show the most romantic side of the city, with half-timbered houses facing directly onto the water. It is therefore a place that tells the continuous encounter between tradition and modernity, culture and politics. Brittany. It is a region where the ocean dictates the rhythm of life.
Wow. It's kind of neat how you got, oh wow, look at that. That house is built right into those rocks. That is amazing. Got a little shed over here, a wall all the way around. That is, could you imagine living there? Nobody around at all. That is so neat though. Obviously somebody's there because there's a car right there. You can see a little road going in, does a little circle. Obviously, they drive over to the shed sometimes. Maybe that's a guest house. I don't know. But that is so cool. I hope they actually bring us in and give us a better shot of that.
The jagged coast hosts lighthouses that have guided navigators for centuries, while tides transform the landscape twice a day. Fishing villages like Saint-Malo and Concarneau preserve historic fortifications that tell of battles and maritime commerce.
Yeah, that looks like a serious castle.
In the interior instead, green countryside is dotted with prehistoric menhirs and ancient stone churches.
Those are cool. Oh, wow.
Gastronomy is an integral part of local identity, with salted butter, cider, and fresh seafood, which can be found practically everywhere. This region is an interweaving of Celtic traditions, changing landscapes, and communities that still live today, a deep bond with the ocean and nature. Marseille. Founded by the Greeks over 2,600 years ago, Marseille is the oldest city in France.
Oh, wow.
The Vieux-Port is still today the vital center, with fishing boats that dock next to restaurants that serve the traditional fish soup.
Fish soup? Doesn't sound very appealing.
The city develops between hills and coves, facing...
And you might be into that stuff. I'm not a big seafood person. I don't mind shrimp. Fish once in a while, but I'm not the biggest on seafood, to be honest. I know a lot of people are like, ooh, I love seafood and lobster and You know, all that stuff. It's not really my cup of tea.
In the Mediterranean with beaches and wild inlets. The Basilica of Notre Dame de la Garde dominates everything from above, recognizable symbol of the port. The Longchamp Palace, instead, with its gardens and monumental fountains, celebrates the arrival of drinking water in the city in the 19th century.
That is cool.
Marseille is also an access point to the Calanques Park, which is a protected area of limestone cliffs and transparent waters.
That water is beautiful. What is this?
Dune of Pilat.
Yeah, the beach I was talking about earlier, on the island close to here that has some pretty crazy beaches. They got a lot of dunes. Like, this is what it looks like basically. In a lot of the area, it's all just sand and hills and hills of sand. Actually, the one area is called the dunes, and then another place is called the sand banks. So you got the sand banks, the sand dunes. But yeah, it's pretty nice. It's off of Lake Ontario. It's pretty nice to go to. Like I said, I haven't been there since I was a kid, but when I was a kid, we used to go there quite often. And that's kind of basically what it looks like. And for Canada, that's pretty amazing, because we don't have a lot of great beaches here.
The Dune of Pilat is the highest in Europe and is a true mountain of sand that faces the Atlantic Ocean. With its 110 meters in height and over 2 kilometers in length, or 361 feet and 1.2 miles, it represents one of the most imposing natural spectacles of the French coast.
Yeah, that is huge. I'd say that's bigger than ours by far.
Climbing to the top, the gaze is lost between the blue of the ocean on one side and the intense green of the land's forest on the other.
And it looks like it's kind of the same thing where the water kind of goes like this, where you can walk out and it's shallow, and then it gets a little deeper, and then it gets shallow and deeper because the sand's doing the same thing under the water.
In the summer months, visitors climb along the wooden staircase or face barefoot the sand to reach the summit, while the marine wind blows constant and allows outdoor activities, like paragliding, hang gliding, and kite surfing. Every year, currents and tides slowly move the dune toward the interior, modifying its dimensions and profile. Aquitaine. In the surroundings of the Dune of Pilat, Aquitaine offers infinite beaches beaten by surf, vineyards that produce renowned wines, and fishing villages. Atlantic waves arrive powerful from Spain, creating perfect conditions for surfers from all over the world. In the interior, Bordeaux vineyards extend as far as the eye can see,
Yeah, I guess
giving
so.
some of the best French wines. There are also tranquil rivers, extensive forests, and small rural villages where life flows with a slow rhythm. It is a land where nature still dominates, maintaining a rare balance between ocean, countryside, and woods. Verdon Gorges. In southeastern France, the Verdon River has carved for millions of years one of the most spectacular canyons in Europe. Its turquoise waters flow between limestone rock walls up to 2,300 feet or 700 meters high. There are panoramic trails like the Sentier-Blanc-Martel that offer incredible views and allow discovering an environment rich in wildlife.
Oh, wow. Now those are some cliffs.
Sports lovers can practice kayaking, climbing, or paragliding, while those seeking tranquility find characteristic villages like Moustier-Sainte-Marie. The gorges are part of a protected natural park, created to preserve a fragile and unique ecosystem. Auvergne. Mountainous region in the heart of France, famous for wild and uncontaminated nature.
Yeah, it looks pretty,
Volcanic
pretty clean.
landscapes, thick forests, and deep lakes design its territory. The Puys chain, declared UNESCO World Heritage, counts about 80 inactive volcanoes visitable along well-marked hiking routes.
I thought that one was a volcano by the looks of it. And obviously that was one
Small
too.
villages in basaltic stone with robust architecture dot the countryside. In summer, sunflower fields color the plains at the foot of the volcanoes, creating a suggestive contrast with the dark rock. Thermal baths are also an integral part of local life, and the city of Vichy has been famous for its beneficial waters since Roman times. Chamonix Mont Blanc. At the foot of Mont Blanc, Chamonix is a gateway to the Alps. The town is surrounded by snow-capped peaks and glaciers, including the Mer de Glace, reachable by a cog railway that climbs the mountain. Here the tradition of mountaineering was born, with expeditions dating back to the 1800s. Hikers and climbers fill the trails during the warm months, while skiers and snowboarders populate the snowy slopes in winter.
Wow.
The Aiguille du Midi cable car takes you up to almost 13,100 feet or 4,000 meters in height, offering a 360-degree panorama of the French, Swiss, and Italian Alps. Palace of Versailles. Built by the will of Louis XIV, the Palace of Versailles is one of the absolute symbols of the power of French monarchy.
That's crazy.
The building, with its richly decorated halls, hosts the famous Hall of Mirrors, which has been the theater of treaties and ceremonies.
Yep, don't forget to subscribe.
Outside instead extend geometric gardens, crossed by fountains and sculptures, unthinkable for the era in which it was built. Versailles is not only a monument, but an entire complex of residences, stables, and woods designed to exalt royal power.
Wow, jeez. Oh my God.
Today it is one of the most visited destinations in France, guardian of a history.
It's just unthinkable the amount of money these people must have had to be able to build homes or places like these. Like, just boggles your mind.
That has marked Europe.
Because honestly, here in Canada, people just struggle to be able to buy a home anymore. And people at one point could pretty much build castles. Now, at one point here in Canada, you could have a nice, not a castle necessarily, but you could have a great big giant home, one income, and afford it. That's not a thing here in Canada anymore. Now you gotta have multiple incomes coming into your house, and you're still just scraping to get by. And the dream of owning a home for a lot of the younger generation is slowly disappearing because just taxes and the price of everything's gone up here, just ridiculous. I just couldn't fathom having the kind of money that you could build something like that.
Annecy. Among the French Alps, there is a town facing a lake with crystal clear water. Its canals resemble an alpine village crossed by water. Ancient stone bridges connect the banks, while the historic center preserves houses in soft colors with flowered balconies. A medieval castle dominates from above, memory of the times of the Counts of Geneva. The lake instead invites strolls along its shores and boat trips to admire the mountains that are reflected in its waters, which are among the clearest in Europe. Riviera.
One thing I've noticed about these cities here in France, same as kind of in Germany there, is they're really condensed. Like all the homes are attached to other homes. Nobody has really any yards. It's probably because you got so many people living there. Because that's the problem with Germany, they say, because I mentioned that, and they said that basically it's not that big of a place, and there's a lot of people living there, so you really got to condense them in there. And like we have big cities here too. Like we have Toronto, it's about 2 hours away from here. I go there and it's just like, oh my God, I'm not a big city type person. I would prefer to live in the outskirts, a small town, or even in the country would even be nicer, which I don't live in now, but I was raised in the country, raised on a farm. So I kind of prefer to have not be so condensed in there. But you have to do what you have to do, I guess. But yeah, I noticed a lot of these homes, they're all one's attached to the next, attached to the next. Now you do have lots of land, but obviously you're using that for your vineyards and other things, and some of it you're keeping to try to keep the, land looking natural still. So I'm not exactly how sure how big France is, but like they said, it was, I think, the third biggest in all of Europe.
Surrounded by vines and gentle hills, this Alsatian town seems to have remained frozen in time.
Yeah, definitely.
Its medieval walls, still intact, guard pastel-colored buildings and stone streets. Strolling through the village, it is easy to notice floral decorations that change according to the season, and small wrought iron signs, testimony of the deeply rooted artisan tradition. Every Christmas, the village transforms. There are markets and illuminations, and it becomes one of the most visited places in Alsace.
Huh.
Garden.
I'm glad I'm not reading these names off, because I'm telling you, I'd be getting 90% of them wrong, how to pronounce them.
In Provence, on a rocky hill, rises a village of light stone houses that seem almost an extension of the rock itself. Here, time is marked by the sound of cicadas and the fragrances of lavender and rosemary.
Oh, wow, that's pretty cool.
At the center of the town,
I really do
stands
love
an
stone
ancient
homes.
castle from the 16th century, today home to art exhibitions. All around, views open onto the Loire Valley, dotted with olive groves and vineyards. In summer, visitors linger in shaded squares, among fountains and local shops, while the stone streets wind between ancient houses with pastel-colored shutters. Aza. Perched on a cliff overlooking the Mediterranean, this Provençal village offers one of the most suggestive panoramas of the French Riviera. Its winding little streets climb to the remains of an ancient medieval castle, today transformed into an exotic garden with cacti and rare plants from all over the world.
Wow. Yeah, that's sweet. Look at that.
Stone houses, small art galleries, and artisan workshops accompany the climb toward the highest point.
That is beautiful. I really do love stone homes.
Here,
they just
and
have so
today
much
the path
character.
that connects ease to the sea bears his name. Along this route, which descends steeply among pines and wildflowers, you can encounter wonderful glimpses of the sea.
water does look crystal clear.
Colmar. This Alsatian town seems like a living painting, with its colored half-timbered houses, quiet canals, and small stone bridges. Strolling in the historic center, you encounter fountains, little squares, and hidden courtyards that invite you to slow your pace. The Petite Venise district offers suggestive glimpses, thanks to small boats that navigate slowly among the ancient dwellings. Every winter, furthermore, the squares come alive with traditional Christmas markets, famous throughout Europe.
Who doesn't love Christmas? It's about a couple weeks away right now. Oh, look at that. That looks really nice at night.
Conques. Hidden among the hills of Auvergne, this small medieval village is an important stop along the Camino de Santiago. Its Romanesque abbey, dedicated to Sainte Foy, guards precious artistic treasures and relics venerated by pilgrims since the Middle Ages.
Hold on a second. Are those coffins sitting there? That's what that looks like to me. That is nuts. This looks really sweet. This wall with the weeds all growing up it, or the plants. That is something. This whole village looks pretty damn sweet, to be honest. I really like these rooftops. How they all look really old. I couldn't imagine the amount of time you'd have to spend going across France to be able to really get a good feel for it all. Because this video is an hour long and it's just pretty much just touching on every little thing, a little bit of every area. And there seems to be so much.
The narrow streets climb among golden-colored stone houses, revealing at every turn original architectural details and ancient wrought iron signs.
So, just for questions, what is this for? Obviously, this means no something. Does that mean because there's nothing in here, so that would just be like, what can't you do? What's this sign actually meant for? If you could let me know in the comments, that'd be awesome. Obviously, you're not going to be driving a vehicle up through here by the looks of it. But does this just mean nobody can be up here? Is this like a no trespassing sign maybe? I don't know. That's pretty weird. And it's just blue inside, like water. So, no clue. Obviously, this is a tourist spot right here, though. They must get a lot of tourists in France. I can't see why you wouldn't. But it must just be nuts to actually live there. Like, this is just your regular old day stuff. You go to work and you see all this stuff every day. I'm sure it doesn't even faze you anymore if you were born there and raised there. But Yeah, that's pretty nice.
wrought iron signs.
Huh, is that a Freemason sign right there? That's what it looks like to me.
The main square is usually a meeting point for visitors and locals. And here, small establishments typical of the village face onto it.
Look at the postcards. Holy. There's that sign again.
Carcassonne.
Look at that wall.
A fortified city that dominates the valley of the Aude.
That is awesome.
Its double walls over 1.9 miles or 3 kilometers long enclose towers, drawbridges, and a perfectly preserved medieval village.
Wow. That was a neat looking castle.
The medieval center was a strategic point during the Middle Ages.
I like how a lot of these castles look medieval. They're not like trying to be all palace-like and whatnot, because that's what I like the stone medieval looking castles from that era.
Contested by counts and kings. Today, visitors can walk on the walls and observe the surrounding countryside, once defended with tenacity. Inside, paved streets lead to the Basilica of Saint-Nazaire and to the Comtal Castle, focal points of the ancient city.
That is awesome. Now, do people actually live in here, or are these just all tourist stuff? Because it would be phenomenal to live inside a great big protected wall place. See this stuff every single day. More vineyards.
Egisheim. A few steps from Colmar, this circular village develops around a medieval castle, forming a concentric network of stone alleys.
Huh. That's different.
Strolling among the pastel-colored houses with sloping roofs, you notice characteristic details like decorated windows, artisan signs, and ornate fountains. Egisheim is also famous for wine quality. Here mainly Pinot Gris and Riesling are produced, often internationally awarded. The village gave birth to Pope Leo IX, commemorated by a statue in the center of the main square. Egisheim was also elected French people's favorite village, thanks to its authenticity and its intimate and welcoming environment. Roussillon. Imagine walking inside a palette of warm colors. Here in the heart of Provence, red, yellow, and orange houses climb along hills, that seem painted by the sun itself. The secret of this beauty lies in ochre, extracted for centuries from surrounding quarries and used to dye every wall and every facade. The stone streets wind between reddish dwellings that change shade depending on the light, creating a spectacle that renews itself every day. While walking these ancient alleys, furthermore, every corner gives a new perspective and facades that tell of artisans who have shaped the village with their own hands. It is a place where nature and architecture dance together, where the earth itself has become art, and every step takes deeper into this Provençal dream of impossible colors. Ivoire. Medieval walls reflect on Lake Geneva. This small village has narrow streets, paved with cobblestones and adorned with seasonal flowers. The historic heart, dating back to the 14th century, preserves towers, portals, and a castle that dominates the lake. It is famous above all for the Garden of the Five Senses, which is a botanical labyrinth where plants are chosen specifically to stimulate different sensory perceptions.
Huh.
The lakefront instead invites to relaxed walks, with small restaurants specialized in local fish, just caught in the lake. Dinam. From the walls that dominate the Rance Valley, the gaze embraces a panorama that has inspired artists for generations. This Breton village is a stone book, open on French medieval history. The half-timbered houses overlook streets that descend steeply toward the river port, creating wonderful perspectives at every curve. Here, natural light makes the contrast stand out between slate gray and pastel colors of facades, while the enclosing walls embrace the historic center like a protective shell. What makes this place special is authenticity, with, for example, medieval bastions that recall battles and sieges, while artisan shops in the streets keep traditions alive. It is like taking a journey through time, and every step takes further back in history. Rochefort-en-Terre. This Breton village stands out for its well-preserved architecture and careful details. Granite granite and half-timbered houses alternate along the main streets. Artisans and artists work in the shops, which display worked glass, ceramics, and local products. It is known above all for the spectacular Christmas illumination, a tradition that attracts thousands of visitors every year. The presence of the 12th century castle, rebuilt in Renaissance style, adds historic charm to the place.
Oh, wow.
Biarritz.
Looks like a lot of people live there.
On the Basque coast facing the Atlantic, this town merges French tradition with surfer spirit. Wide beaches and high waves attract enthusiasts from all over Europe. In the 19th century, Napoleon III and Empress Eugénie chose it as their favorite destination for their vacations, leaving Art Nouveau villas still visible today on the waterfront. The center hosts refined boutiques, historic cafes, and the famous casino, symbol of the city. A walkway leads to the Virgin's Rock, topped by a statue of Mary, from which to admire the entire coast. Ramatuelle. Perched on the hills of Saint-Tropez, this Provençal village guards the authentic soul of the French Riviera.
Oh, that's a neat looking tree, eh? That purple one?
Its spiral streets develop between pastel-colored houses and bougainville that explode with colors, while the fragrance of lavender and rosemary accompanies every step.
Yeah, you definitely don't mess around when it comes to plants over there.
Here, time seems to have stopped at the time when Saracen pirates threatened these coasts, leaving as heritage an interweaving of labyrinthine alleys, designed precisely to confuse invaders.
Huh.
From the central square, where the weekly market becomes a festival of Provençal flavors, the gaze spans to the sea, embracing vineyards and olive groves that dominate the slopes. It is the perfect refuge where French aristocracy has always sought poetry and tranquility. Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. At the gates of the Pyrenees, where France meets Spain, rises the spiritual capital of the Camino de Santiago. This fortified Basque village has welcomed pilgrims from all over Europe for centuries, who stop here before the last stage toward Compostela.
There's a lot of red.
The pink sandstone walls enclose a labyrinth of medieval streets where the languages of the whole world resonate, while Vauban's bastion
Sorry about this.
streets where the languages
Yeah, they're everywhere. Are they for vehicles? It's the only thing I can think of.
of the whole world resonate, while Vauban's bastions watch over the gray slate roofs. The main street of the historic center descends toward the Nive River with a vertiginous slope, flanked by Basque half-timbered houses and pilgrim shops. From the citadel instead, the view embraces the Basque Mountains, where eagles and vultures glide over sheep pastures. Here, every hostel tells stories of journeys and hopes. Every stone of the walls has seen kings and saints pass, while the sound of the bells of Notre Dame Church marks the eternal rhythm of those who leave, to seek something greater than themselves. Concluding this visual journey through France, we have moved from the charm of its varied landscapes to the most famous icons of its historic cities, discovering together not only places, but also curiosities that make every corner of this country unique.
Well, that was amazing. That is one beautiful chunk of land they've got going on there. Yeah. And I'm sure they probably didn't even touch on a lot of things. This is probably all just the main, big areas. I'm sure there's a lot that got missed. But there's a ridiculous amount of history going on in France. Just like there is in Germany and the UK. Like I said, I'm from Canada, so our history doesn't go back that far. So we don't have a lot of the historical buildings and whatnot here. And like this house, like I said, this house being like 140 150 years old, that's an old house for over here. Not to say there's not older ones, but it's definitely old enough. But yeah, I loved it. That was a great video. If you want to click like, subscribe, that'd be awesome. Comment, please do. It really helps out, and I always read everyone. So, and I'll leave a link to this video if you want to actually just check this video out without having me rambling on in the background. I'll have the link in the description down below. And I think I did a pretty good job of not talking too much in this, because like I said, if you've watched my videos before, I've had a few people make comments that I talk too much. So, and I knew this one was long, so I didn't want to make it too long, so I tried to bite my tongue as much as I could. Anyhow, I want to thank you for watching this video, and I hope you check out one of my other videos. Alright, bye for now.